I don't want any farmer to have a burn his finger in the initial stage also. 16 nutrients is needed to see that the plant doesn't suffer at all. Weeds are wanted plants in unwanted place. So anaerobic compost does not release all the nutrients to the plants, even if it is digested, because the plant takes any nutrient when the raw material, when the manure comes into 20:1 carbon nitrogen ratio.
Weeds are the wanted plants, but in an unwanted place.
The 10:1 is something called humus. During this period of digestion, we should keep on moisturizing it once in 15 days.
Correct.
Either cattle urine or cattle urine mixed with water.
Okay, when I am not getting food, why should I reproduce?
You don't ask for NPK.
Sir, you also said that the soil will also depend, the parameter of the soil is also influenced by our composting. So the way we prepare compost, the way we, how we apply the compost to our soil or to our plants, that will help the plants to grow healthy. So we wanted to understand more about composting. What is the best way? You said 16 plant nutrients should be there in our organic manure or a compost. So in order to get these 16 nutrients to the plants, so what type of composting we have to do, what of the raw material we need to use, and you also explained to us somewhere this is a CN ratio. Maybe you can tell us more about compost and its importance and the process and the influence of CN ratio.
The preparing of a compost, 16 nutrients is needed to see that the plant doesn't suffer at all, and they keep on growing in a much better way. How can you get all these 16 nutrients? So then we have to make a compost with a lot of raw materials. You can go minimum at least 5 raw materials is necessary to give you 16 nutrients. Out of that 5 also, cattle manure and green leaves or dry leaves are the must. Over and above that, you can go for goat manure, or you can fish manure, or you can go for sugar press mud and coffee pulp coffee sippe, and so many things like that. You can go up to 10 or 15, something like that. But it has to be completely digested aerobically. They should not be digested with what you call the tippegundi, or what you it is
pit methods.
Pit method. So there because of the aeration, it becomes anaerobic. So anaerobic compost does not release all the nutrients to the plants, even if it is digested. It will not digest to the 20:1 carbon nitrogen ratio, because the plant takes any nutrient when the raw material, when the manure comes into 20:1 carbon nitrogen ratio. For example, in case of fish manure, it is 95 carbon to 1 nitrogen. And in case of Cocopeat, it is 122:1. In case of in case of poultry manure, it is 90:1. In case of cattle manure, it is 65:1. Correct. Many people use, only say we have used cattle manure, results are not there for first 3 years. Because it's 65:1 has to come down to 20:1. Minimum. If the plant has to absorb, it has to come down to 20. And our sheep and goat manure got the compost 40:1 carbon nitrogen ratio.
Correct.
So all this has to, first it has to come to 20:1. It can go down up to 10:1 also in the future, but it takes little more time. The 10:1 is something called humus. Correct. And it is directly available. That's why for example, a silver oak plant planted in the estate may grow up to 2 feet, 3 feet, something like that. But if the same silver oak plant is grown in a forest, it goes up to 4 to 5, 6 or 8 feet width also it will go. This is because there's enough humus material is available around this thing, because naturally from the fallen leaves, digesting and rainfall more, and the lot of wild animals moving about here and there. So all the dungs are used, so becomes 10:1. So humus is the one, gold, it is gold. 10:1 is gold. So we have to go into that level when you have to prepare a manure. So how to prepare the manure also, I'll tell you, because it has to be prepared above the ground. should not be the air circulation. We can aerobic one only has give the maximum nutrients to the plants, so it has to prepare on top of the ground.
Fine.
So layer by layer you can do it. Now simple method for the people who don't know how to prepare the manure, and this thing, the method is width, maximum width you can go up to 6 feet,
Okay.
because both sides you can put your hand 3 feet, 3 feet, so 6 feet it should be there. And each raw material should be 1 foot or 9 inches to 1 foot height. So like that, second raw material, third raw material, fourth. So on the top should go to 4.5 feet, because working convenience.
Correct.
One man can carry a basket and put it on the top is up to
4 feet.
4
plus
feet, 4.5 feet. He can do it.
Correct.
Then you need not go and ask every time the laboratory person or an soil analysis person, because when it comes to 4.5 feet, and if you are covering that one with the cow dung slurry, something like that, after 6 months or 7 months or maybe about 8 months, the whole height will come down to 2.5 feet.
Okay.
So if it comes down to 2.5 feet, it automatically it is a carbon nitrogen ratio is 20:1 or less.
Correct.
So this is the method, easy method. Instead of you running here and there and something like that, apply the manure, use as much as mulch is required, and leave it. Definitely the plants will absorb very good this thing, and the nature's law of nature is the pyramid above the microorganisms.
Correct.
This is the which one should look into it, and if this is done properly, nobody can fear about
The yield,
loss and
the yield and the diseases.
Yield and the disease.
Correct.
It's 100%. It is guaranteed. There is no doubt about it.
Yeah. So to summarize, what Dr. Vijaya Prakash Hegde sir suggesting us that compost making is very critical stage in organic farming, and any fellow organic farmer needs to understand and learn and practice this in their respective farms. It is not a big challenge. So only thing is we need to have different types of raw material which contributes different carbon nitrogen ratios or a component inside. He has outlined 5 to 6 types of raw material with a respective carbon nitrogen ratio, and we can bring them or we can collect them where we need to do the manuring, organic manuring, composting, and put them in layers. So his suggestion is to keep the dimension of the compost bay as about 4 to 5 feet of width, about 4.5 feet of height with layers. So if you do that and you leave it for about 5-6 months, the natural decomposition will happen, and you can notice that after 6-7 months, your height, which is 4.5 feet, will naturally reduce to about 2.5 feet. This is a very clear indication that the decomposition has happened successfully, all the material has been digested, and the net result will be the carbon nitrogen ratio will become 20:1, which is a necessary requirement for the plants to absorb this manure for their growth. Important thing sir suggests is that go for aerobic based design, that is you keep your compost heap above the ground level, don't follow the pit method or the underground method. The challenge with underground method, as sir experienced, is that it will lead too much of anaerobic bacteria to decompose. The anaerobic bacteria will not be able to decompose and extract all the nutrients in the raw material as compared to aerobic microbes. That is one differentiation. And second thing is, even the nutritional value which is created on this pit based composting, when we apply to the plants, they don't get maximum utilization, they don't absorb maximum. So these are all the findings from his experiences and his experiments which he is sharing with us.
And also watering.
Moisturization.
Moisturizing this one. During this period of digestion, you should keep on moisturizing it once in 15 days.
Correct.
Either cattle urine or cattle urine mixed with water. All it has to be, because that again comes under the Panchabhuta.
Correct.
Soil and water.
So,
light of course you can always reduce it, not necessary, because afternoon this thing doesn't help. Only the morning sunlight will help. That's again about the action of cosmic rays.
Correct. So essentially, if a composting is done using various raw material which is available in our farm and follow this process, then the end result, the completely digested, fully decomposed 20:1 carbon nitrogen ratio manure will be produced. And when we start using this quality organic manure for our production, for our plants, the crop which uses this kind of manure will be absolutely healthy. It will give very good yield and it is disease free. All these three things are possible: the healthiness, the disease resistance, and the better yield is possible just because we have applied a scientifically processed manure or a compost. So the success of an organic farmer lies in understanding, learning, preparing and applying the organic manure. So this is very important. Sir, I think you have touched upon very crucial aspect for organic farming. Now we also discuss about the uh, plant extracts. So we make a lot of plant extracts as a booster for our plants growth and also to fight the diseases, pest and insects attacks on the plants. You have a very rich experience in preparing various formulation, the plant extracts, and you also advised many farmers in Karnataka in how to use them, how to protect their plants and help the plants to grow. So in terms of plants immunity and fighting the disease, there are a lot of plant extracts we are going to use. So sir, please tell us some of your experience in preparing this so called liquid manure, which is mainly used for plant immunity and protection.
Now about the liquid manure. So for example, I'll give a simple example. 5 children of a mother are not all are same. So absorption of the food is also difficult. The same thing with the plants also. There may be some problem with the seed itself, or some are very vigorous seeds, some are planted in right time, sown in right time. So all these difference will be there in cultivation. So for this, what we have to do is we have to safeguard over this thing. I don't want any farmer to have a burn his finger in the initial stage also, but he has to follow this. He has to involve himself into the farming. What then? For this now, what we have done is, weeds are wanted plants in unwanted place. The God has given so much of power for the weeds. There are so many weeds which really help you to improve the soil. For example, cyanodonadactylon or nut grass. So they grow where? They grow in a very poor soil. They grow in a very poor soil and they keep on improving. Once it is improved, then those plants will never exist. Another thing is your what do you call?
Mimosa pudica, touch me not.
Touch me not. Another one is amaranthus,
Okay.
With the thorn.
Correct.
So all this grows. You watch the place where these are going. Where the soil is poor, only they will grow.
Correct.
And if you cut it, allow the roots to go, still continue to this thing. Ultimately, they will reach. When the soil is very rich, they die.
Correct.
We need not
Remove them.
Remove them. This one.
Okay.
So many things that we have to use it.
Correct.
And same plants have got some wonderful this thing in pest control. Pest control. So either is amaranthus, thorn amaranthus, or your lantana.
Correct.
Or the cyanodonadactylon, or your cachatoria. All these plants have got wonderful this thing. And even the flowering plants like hibiscus.
Correct.
What we have to do is a simple method we have to do it. Take 1 kg of leaf, put it in 10 liters of water, boil it, this thing, completely boil it, and I will allow it to cool down till the next morning. This process has to be started in the evening, and next morning it cools down. From there, the 10 liters might have come down to 8 liters or 9 liters. Take 1 liter of solution from there, add 1 liter of cattle urine, and plus add 10 liters of water and spray to the plants. So it will control almost 50 to 60% of the insects and all the diseases. It is this one. So on this basis, we have done so many experiments, and then we have made a sort of full prep this thing. What our liquid should do is, the first step, organic it down totally go and kill the insects or the diseases at
It's
a time.
chemical.
Like chemicals. But here in the organic, what happens is it will first make antivident.
Correct.
The second time it makes it anti-productive. The third time it kills, and the fourth time entire nutrients goes as a tonic to the plants.
Correct.
So this is a slow process. It may not be immediate or in organic anything. So the two things in organic. One thing is you don't ask for NPK. If you ask for NPK, you don't know anything because this NPK and other nutrients keep on growing.
Correct.
Once you apply it, manure or the liquids, in the liquid also we are preparing in such a way with all the 16 nutrients. So it keeps on improving the nutritive value of the this manure or the feed and whatever it is. So this is the very, very important procedure, and we have come to this one, and then we have adding some garlic, turmeric, and all sort of things. So we have made two brands. One is Nisarga liquid, another is the NCG liquid, and then we make it specialization for different crops and all sort of things. Because ultimately, that whatever the plant which has been suffering, it has got some nutrients that has to get into the soil.
Correct.
So this is the principle, like just like that. Whereas in case of chemicals, there is no nutritive value given. It kills, and second time when you spray that insects are mutated, then it will not work, this particular chemical. So then they keep on changing the chemicals and sort of things. So whereas in case of organic, the mutation doesn't allow. Plants, because of the nutrients available, the plants are very strong and they repel the pests in such a way. So this is the thought we should do. We should put it into the manufacturing line and see that it is done in this method.
I'll summarize it. Viewers, what sir is suggesting us that in order to control pest for our crops and help the plants to build more immunity and grow healthy and give a better yield, Dr. Hegde sir is suggesting that don't look at anything beyond. It is available in your farm only. So much of plants will grow along with our crops that we call it as weeds. But he also said weeds are the wanted plants but in an unwanted place. So you have to identify those weeds which will be helpful for preparing certain kashaya which will be sprayed into our crops such that the crops picks up the immunity, and these weed plants preparations will help in protecting our plants against the pests and diseases. So the organic way of controlling pest management compared to chemical farming, sir is illustrating to us saying that in the chemical farming approach, we spray the pesticides or the insecticides which will kill all the pests and the insects, useful or non-useful, in one shot. But in the case of organic plant protection management, we are not looking at killing or eradicating a pest or an insect in the first application. The principle of organic pest management is very simple. It is a 4-layered approach. So Dr. Hegde explains to us on the first layer, because of its repellent feature, the insect or a pest will come, but it will not eat the plant because there is a smell, a repellent, anti-feeding. So it never allow the insects to feed the plant, part of a plant. So that it is protected. When you do second round of spraying, so the insect will come back again and it discovers that this plant I can't eat because there is a feed repellent factor in the spray which we gave. Then the insect think that, okay, when I am not getting food, why should I reproduce? If I reproduce, my offspring doesn't get a food. So it's forget about its reproduction. So that means your insects or the pest will not grow further. That is the benefit of doing this organic pest protection second time. When you do third time, so the insect again comes and it cannot eat, continue to eat. Then it becomes starved, it goes into the starvation and it kills itself. So the third layer of protection. And when you do at the fourth time, this organic pest management liquid what we prepare and we apply for the fourth time, this fourth time, now what is our status of our plant? Now the plant is completely free from any insects or a pest. The fourth spray will only help the plants to build more stamina, more health for himself. It grows very well. So essentially, the organic pest management with the herbs, with the weeds, with the naturally available plant extracts we use will help the plants to grow healthy, manage the weeds in an organic way without killing anything, and gives us the better yield and healthy plants. So this is the essence of preparing organic pest management solutions from herbs and weeds which we found around us. So Dr. V.P. Hegde sir, through his research over the decades, has come out with few products. One he named as Nisarga liquid, other is NCG liquid. So this kind of product which is available with Vital Plant products here will going to help the organic farmer not only to protect their crop against the possible pest and insect issues, but also help the crop yield, improve the crop yield because the plant become healthy.